All right. Sovereignty. What does that word mean? It's a big buzzword these days. Sovereignty, sovereignty in my definition is mastery or on the path. Mastery is a big word. So, on the path to developing, it's like ownership of your gifts, ownership of your own desires, ownership of your own boundaries. Yep, ownership. So sovereignty starts when we're willing to shut up and listen. And I know that's pretty direct and maybe it sounds rude or harsh, but for me at least, it took a rude awakening for me. I don't know about anyone else out there, but it took a harsh adjustment for me. It wasn't, a full, well, I would say it's close to a dark night of the soul. Maybe not as cataclysmic as some people have experienced, but significant enough in my life. I don't think that you need a dark night of the soul to adjust and start, and be initiated on your path to sovereignty. Often that seems to be how it happens, and what we're almost accustomed to. And I love what Christina Solares talks about with the beloved paradigm. And if you're not familiar with that, check out her work because she talks about how we are now at the point where we can dissolve the contract to learn through big suffering and big dark nights of the soul, and learn more through grace. And that's beautiful. But, not but. And right now, I just want to speak to sovereignty and what initiates it. And like I said, it's being willing to shut up and listen. And listen to what? So it's listening to, being able to tune in and listen to the voice of your spirit, which is a very spiritual concept. It's like obviously requires that you subscribe to spirituality and that there's this essence of you or this higher self or whatever word you have for it that connects you to something greater, and whatever you call that greaterness, that greater vastness that almost has no name. So listening to that voice, that was part of my initiation. Also, part of my initiation was listening to my eros. So my eros is, I define it as my life force, my my animal body, my life force. So there's in my view, there's this combining as a human being of being part spirit, part animal. Part that sacred, beyond the beyond, non-dual, and then the more animal, primal, that has more dealings with polarities and duality. And I think that we inhabit both. And I think that is paradoxical. And I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but what did I really want to talk about with sovereignty? Listening to the voice of your truth with a capital T that comes from essence. Like, who am I? The big question. Who am I? Why am I here? Why did I choose to incarnate? If you subscribe to that, or like, why did I, what's my purpose on this planet? What contribution am I here to make in a big way, or small way, big or small is, relative. But what contribution did I come here to make? And also, what wants to be birthed through me? And that's where the eros and the desire conversation with a capital D, truth, like spiritual truth and then like erotic truth. They're both erotic in a way, but spiritual truth and animal truth, I'll say it that way. And where they meet and dance together, and then what really wants to be created through you, through your spirit and through your eros. And you'll discover your truth. You'll discover your purpose and why you're here and what you came here to do. I'm clear on mine. It's taken different roles, but all of those roles have an underpinning. It's undeniable. Learning about my human design has been really helpful with that, and astrology and finding signposts that point the way to what's in my DNA has been so revealing. And also playing with my body and learning what my body, my primal she loves and desires, and the wildness of my eros and the kind of the clean form of my erotic sacred essence. Those two meet, and that to me is sovereignty, and that's where I know what I want to invite in my life, what I'm not interested in subscribing to, or where I'm not interested in putting my energy or resources. And, that's an ongoing discovery. That's the beautiful thing. And that's where our boundaries get to be these bespoke boundaries. And I learned all about this from Kendra Kunav and her work. These bespoke boundaries that get to be even moment to moment, rooted in integrity and in communication that isn't concerned about rocking the boat, or maybe if it is concerned about rocking the boat, oftentimes that's where we don't set boundaries, is we're afraid that if we say the truth of what would feel honorable to us, we might lose the other person in the engagement. And I know I felt that in my marriage, and I still am undoing that in my marriage and business and clients and all the places that we grasp for approval or validation or, all those things. So, yes, Shakti energy on the rise. Thanks, Molly. Yes. But I love this marriage of Shakti and Shiva, of like the erotic spirit. And I call that erotic because, at least my experience of being connecting to my spiritual self, even is erotic in nature. Like there's this, physical sensations I even experience, whether it's I feel like I lose the sense of physical boundaries and I'm merging with all, connecting to everything. That's an erotic experience, at least for me. And then there's more like the earthy, primal erotic experience of the Shakti that births things wildly into being, and they really need each other, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and how they play with each other. But yeah, that sovereignty is really discovering the voice of truth from our erotic sacred essence and our erotic primal eros. And that's the stuff that I'm leading folks through. If you're interested, if you're like, well, I would like to know more about my human design and what I came here to do, and I would like to know more about, you know, my true desires with a capital D and what really turns me on, and release all the conditioning of what I think I should do or who I should be or how I should feel and what should turn me on and all those things. I'm leading people and walking people through an intensive. Starts this Friday. It's called the Manifest Like a Mother Incubator, and it's a powerful container. Friday, Saturday this weekend, and Friday, Saturday the following weekend, 3 hours for each workshop. And we dive deep into an intimate container where I lead workshops live over Zoom. And, first we dismantle and dive into the darkness of our grief and what hasn't worked. And then we look at who we are, looking at our human design and connecting with our sacred essence and truth, the capital T. And then we connect to our eros and our primal electricity, erotic self through and our desires and what we want to create, what turns us on. And then we wrap it up with declaring what's ready to be birthed and checking in with divine timing, and also checking our privilege in that conversation, because that's an important thing to look at, is checking your privilege and checking divine timing. So that's my invitation to you. If you're interested, we start this Friday. The next round won't be until September. I don't have the date yet, but the next round won't be for another month. So if you're feeling the yes, the pull, that sounds like a cool thing to jump into, you're welcome to join us. It's only $100. Super cheap, really accessible. I'll put the link in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know. I love you, and I'll see you hopefully in the container or in the Facebook world. Bye.